Ready for brand stories? Get inspired and learn from thought leaders, CEOs, business owners, managers, entrepreneurs, and experts who tell their brand stories and share their first-hand insights. Welcome to BrandsTalk. I'm your host, Brigitte Bakowski. I support entrepreneurs and organizations like you to become future market leaders by transforming their ambitions and passion into an online brand that radiates beauty, brilliance, and authenticity, attracting the clients and recognition they deserve. Let's get started and dive with me into the world of brands. My guest today is Maria Angelova. Maria is a disruptor, author, speaker, body-mind expert, Pilates teacher, mindset coach, NLP practitioner, and founder and CEO of Rebellious Intl. Maria is on a mission to change the face of the wellness industry by shifting the self-care mindset for consumers and providers alike. As a mind-body coach, Maria's superpower is alignment through a strong body and calm mind so people can live a life of freedom, happiness, and fulfillment. Prior to founding Rebellious International, Maria was a finance director and a professional with 17 years of progressive corporate experience in the telecommunications, finance, and insurance industries. I warmly welcome Maria Angelova. Welcome to BrandsTalk.
Thank you, Brigitte. I'm so excited to be here with you and to see you again.
Yes, because I was on your show just a week ago. Yeah, so it's nice to have you back again here today. And there is a lot of questions that I want to ask you because you come from the finance industry and you went through a journey. This is really incredible and totally shifted. So now you are the founder and CEO of Rebellious International, and you're very passionate about shifting the self-care mindset. So what inspired you to embark on this particular mission? And was there a pivotal moment where you said, I have to do this. So I'm done now. I really will go for that. This is my purpose in life. And I want to do everything to achieve that goal, to shift into that new identity that I'm visualizing right now.
Yeah, the profoundness of the work that I do and the transformation that happens with people's lives, with their bodies, whether they're in pain, maybe there's somebody who doesn't like to work out in the traditional world of working out, the way that they think about self-care. I see such a tremendous shift and such a positive change in their life, in all aspects of their life. The way their energies, the way their health is, their pains and aches decrease, they start getting stronger, they have more energy, vitality. And then I talk to somebody who is a potential client, and I'm like, wow, this will be so amazing for them. And usually I hear the two biggest excuses. I don't have time or I don't have money, which over time you start thinking, gosh, is it really that? Or is it really that we're not taught to prioritize ourselves and our proactive well-being? And over time, as I'm talking to people and I hear the thoughts that go to people's minds when it gets to self-care, I started thinking the problem really is for the people, most of the people I interact with, is the fact that self-care is not on the priority list. It's the work, the family, this, that, and maybe self-care. And when most people won't have a problem spending $100, $200 on dinner, let's say their even physician recommends a special test that they have to do to be proactive about their well-being, they'll think about it multiple times before they do it. And then people who opt to do other things, then let's say go for a walk or take a few minutes to breathe and we're not even taught to appreciate outdoor time, breathing, things such as meditation. Even fitness has has created such a different view nowadays. It's about losing weight, it's about staying in shape, it's about being intense. And that is not what movement is about. These things I call the cherry on top. There is so much more that goes into movement. It's your circulation and keeping your bones strong, it's mental health. There are huge implications to movement, and movement is really a very important pillar of health. And we're not taught to think about it this way. And I thought, wow, what is it really that needs to shift? And it's really a mind shift change. Once you start realizing that self care is not selfish, it's not a waste of time or some of those things that we hear, and realize that when you take care of yourselves, and again, the pillars of wellness are the basics, right? Sleep well, eat well, hydrate, do your movement. They're not that sophisticated. Once you do that, it would have positive implications on your entire life, on your career, on your family, on your relationships, on the way that you feel, on your well-being. And I was talking to somebody and she said, Maria, that's like mission impossible. That's hard to do. Yes, it is. It's a thing to do, but Brigitte, think where all of the shift starts. It's
Yeah.
all the mindset. Yet it starts in here.
Yeah, Maria, how can people shift the mindset insofar that they say self care is going to be my first priority? How can we shift that and really live it? Because people still doubt it. And then we say, think, okay, I have to do this first and that first and take care of my kids, of my husband, and do this and that. So, how can I make it our first priority? What needs to be shifted here?
I think number one, realizing that you're not making it a priority, creating that awareness of, because people will say, for example, did you do your workout? Oh, no, I didn't have time. Okay. So let's go through what did you have time? And when you were planning your day, when did you plan to do your workout? And for example, I have people who say, I will do the recording of a workout. So I ask them, did you plan a time on your calendar where, let's say, between 2 and 3 p.m., I will do my workout? Or is it like I will find time sometime in my day to squeeze it in? Because let's be realistic for all of us, right? If we don't plan something, we know that the chances of it happening are probably slim to none. So I'd ask people, did you actually put it on your priority list? And maybe you need to put a reminder on your calendar to get up on the round of each hour and walk. But I think the number one thing is awareness. Number two, and I'm really passionate about that one, is you don't have to start by an hour and a half of self care, right? You can start by 10 minutes of self care. And then next week, increase it to 15 minutes. Start seeing how you feel with self care versus without. I will tell you a client just this week during one of our mindset sessions. She just came back from vacation and I talk a lot about balance. And she said, Maria, I went on vacation and I did not check my emails. And I said, good for you. How did that feel? And she said, amazing. And she also said how she was able to keep up with her family and do activities that before, there will be aches and pains and she couldn't participate as eagerly and as her body was not available. And I said, how did that feel? You could just tell the life and the vibrancy that was in her. So now she has the feeling of before and after. Now she's incentivized to want to move because she can feel the difference.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, once you fall in love with movement, you don't ever have to work out a day in your life. So now that's a shift versus, oh my gosh, that is the next thing on my to-do list that I don't want to do to, oh yes, this gets bumped up because I feel amazing after that. And the other thing that's very important, especially in the context of movement, is find something that you love to do. So for some of us, I teach Pilates. I like to run. I love to dance. Other people, you might love playing tennis, or you might love biking, or you might love walking. It doesn't have to be the same thing. And I tell people, not everybody will love Pilates, and that's okay. But you have to find something that you enjoy so that you're looking forward to it versus as the next mundane thing that you have to do, because how long is your have to do list? So I think all of those things are little things, but I think the biggest one is realizing and asking yourself, Am I actually making it priority? And I'll tell you another thing that goes into mindset is, to me, self-care goes hand in hand with self-worth.
Yeah.
And like it's directly proportional. And if you don't think that you deserve the time for yourself, you won't prioritize it. And if you think it's selfish, it's, you will not show up. But if you shift your mindset and think, you know what, let's say in the case of a mom, because I think a lot of us moms struggle with prioritizing our self-care versus kids. It's realizing that when you feel good, when you feel strong, flexible, one, you're setting up an example, but you will be a better mom, you will be a better wife, you will be a better employee, and so forth. So it's really not selfish. Your energy will be different, and that will be reflected on everything that you do.
Yeah. And as you say, it's starting small, like tiny steps towards it and carving out half an hour of a day. And then you're proud that you made it happen. And as you say, that the feeling that comes with it, how we feel like we have accomplished it, we feel good, we feel different, we feel better, we feel more happy. And for me, for example, the self-care is dedicated in the morning when it comes to working out. So it's the first thing in the morning that I do after my coffee, of course, to work out. And I just feel like how empowering that is and how differently I can serve. So I feel at my best. It's
That's
not
it.
every day the same. Yeah. It's not every day the same, but the best I can on that very day. So, is there, in your opinion, a certain time of the day that is more empowering, is better, or is it really depending on the person?
I actually really like what you said and start self care first thing in the morning. I will tell you, for example, for me, I start my mornings very early with teaching because I usually teach the times when people are not at work. So for me, I have to get up really early if I want to do my self care first thing. And sometimes I do. If I have a really packed day and I'm like, I have to find a window, I will do that. But honestly, if you're not a morning person and if you know in the morning you're not together, make this a miserable experience by trying to do self-care in the morning. Because if, especially if that's not already a habit that you have and you pick a time that's it's not your peak time, find the time that works for you. I'll tell you, I had to make a big transition before I was married and before I had a child. My self-care time was after work and I was religious about it. But then as you have family, now you have to get home and prepare dinner and have dinner and all of that, the schedule changes. So find whatever it is that works for your lifestyle. Maybe lunchtime is the time that you can do something. And you know what? This is the other thing, that give yourself grace. If one day it needs to be, so maybe Monday and Wednesday it's in the morning, Tuesday and Thursday is in the afternoon, right? Give yourself that flexibility, but fit it in your schedule. Just because your colleague or your friend works out at 5 a.m. doesn't mean that you have to work out at 5 a.m., right? Especially if you're somebody who goes to bed. I have some clients who go to bed at like midnight and then they're like, I'll be up at 5 a.m. for work. That's actually not good because now you're skimping on your sleep. So you have to make it work for you. Is it great to start your day with self care? I do think so, because you kind of go into the day with cup full, ready to conquer the day. And that's great. So if it works for you, go for it. And, give it a try. See what works for you best. But don't be harsh and don't compare yourself and try to do something that somebody else does. Do whatever works for you and respect how you feel, respect your body.
Yeah. So, how we feel, and usually we feel more empowered, we have more self worth. And when we have more self worth, we also feel more authentic and can be more authentic. And for you, authenticity also plays a huge role. And those things like self worth and self care are very strongly related to authenticity. So, in how far, what is your explanation to that? What's your approach to that?
Based on personal experience and observations with my work with clients, I will tell you that And I talk very much about intentional self-care. Unintentional self-care is you have to go to the gym at 5 p.m. You go through the motion while you're taking business calls. You're not really sure exactly what you did. You know, you were at the gym and did something, and then you keep moving through your day and continue to the to-do list. Intentional self-care is when you're in tune with your body, when you have that mind-body connection. When first, before you even start your workout, you ask yourself, how does my body feel today? Is it energetic? Is it feeling stiff? Did I have a stressful day? How is my energy level? And then you adjust your workout to serve your body. So to give you an example, last week I attended a workshop that was very mentally demanding. By 5 p.m., I mean, I was ready to go to bed. And I was thinking to go for a run, but I was like, oh, my body just does not have the energy to go for a run. So what did I do? I got on the mat. I did some breathing exercises, some stretching, some Pilates, and then I went for a beautiful walk. So it was a very chill, so to say, self-care, 45 minutes only. But by the time I was done with these 45 minutes, my energy was completely shifted. I had energy to go to dinner and to socialize with people and to have energy to be there versus half asleep, right? So one, be intentional with your self-care. When you're intentional with your self-care, I always say my movement is my hour of meditation. I'm completely tuned in, mind and body connected. What do I feel? I'm maintaining alignment. Which muscles am I using? When you have that kind of peace in your mind and your mind is not going through the grocery checklist and what's going on at work and what do you have to do after this, we calm our mind. And that's why I say calm mind. When we quiet within, when we, I call it inner connect to ourselves, we manage to connect to our intuition, to our inner calling, sixth sense, whatever you would like to call it. And when we do that, we're prompted and guided by it. And that's how mindfulness, that's how movement relates to authenticity. Because I will tell you, my journey and my transition from corporate into entrepreneurship really started by being led by my intuition. I was prompted my intuition. There was not a common sense rhyme or reason why I did this. I just felt this very strong urge to make the change. And I'm so grateful that I did. And sometimes it's scary because it goes against convention. It goes against what we are taught. It goes against the norms of what success means. So self-care is so powerful. Intentional self-care is so powerful. And once you experience it, like I said, there's no going back.
Yeah. I think with self care, how it is influencing authenticity and connecting with your inner self and then with your inner God and having the strength to do things. You don't know what the outcome is going to be like, making decisions like really profound decisions, leaving the corporate world, starting your own things. It's just a different way of how we just follow our heart, believing that the things that we are visualizing are going to become true, right? And so it's also then impacting the way of how we present ourselves to the world.
100%.
And that ties into branding because it's all about how others perceive us. So, what's your take on self care, authenticity, connecting them also with your higher self and with branding?
And you started speaking, the first thing that came to mind was how your energy changes with self-care, right? So if you have energy, if you're authentic, your energy level is completely different than if you're going through the monotonous motions of life. Like, okay, the same thing. I get up, I go to the office, I repeat the same thing. There is no passion, there is no energy. I am just going through the motion. And that is what I call existing. We want to live life with zest and energy and passion. Now, if you want to brand yourself and stand out, I mean, my company is rebellious and I named it that because it's about being your true self, rebelling against the norms, rebelling against the stereotypes and being you. What makes me different than the other, Pilates is growing so much. There are so many life coaches and such. What would make me different than everybody else? It's who I am, my energy, the way I present myself. And that applies to everybody, right? Why would somebody come to me versus the Pilates studio next door? Why would somebody want to do mindset coaching with me versus the next life coach, right? We start thinking about these things and attracts like. So the more you like yourself, and I'll tell you, this is true and tested. You start attracting people that vibrate at a different level, people who strive to grow, people who want to grow. It's a fascinating experience. But basically, being authentic, taking care of yourself and nurturing who you are. And as you know, Brigitte, it's not a linear journey, right? It's like more like a roller coaster journey. And to me, that's another thing that self care is here for. Those moments and those times when things don't go the way we would like them to go. What grounds you is taking those deep breaths, taking that deep walk when you feel that tension creeping in, right? What do you do to release the tension and to return back to yourself and to reground and regroup and say, I've got this. All right. There is a lesson in this. What do I need to learn and move forward? So self care is a super powerful tool that we can use to grow and experience life to the fullest. And branding, and I mean, you tell me if you agree. I think we all brand ourselves, whether it's as entrepreneurs or in the corporate world or in our daily life. We're all a brand and we all
Always.
get something, right?
Always. Most people are not aware of the fact. But whatever we do, however we interact with others, how we present ourselves, knowingly or unknowingly, we are always a brand. Some shine brighter, shine more with intention because they know uh, that they're always communicating something. And it's always about how we make others feel. That's about branding.
Yeah.
And yeah, speaking of branding, your company is called Rebellious International. And every brand name has a story behind. So, what is your story? How did you come about giving your company the brand name Rebellious International?
So my transition was unconventional, you can say. So right from finance and a finance director to I really started as a fitness studio to a Pilates teacher. And most of the feedback that I got was, this is crazy. This doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? It wasn't per se, well, go for it, right? Follow your dreams. I thought, I want a name that speaks to that. And I kid you not, I had pages of pages and pages of names too. What should I name my company? I wanted it to be something that reflected my brand, my spirit, and who I am. And I think I was watching a commercial on TV and I don't even know what they said. And I was like, rebellious. And that just felt right. That just said right. And, rebellious can have different connotations, but rebellious just spoke to me. I mean, yes, it's a revolution to be able to stand in the world and saying, this is me, and you can like me or you don't like me, but I will follow my passion, I will follow my heart, and I'll do what I want to do because I believe in it. And I believe in its transformational power. And I want to serve people with my gifts. And that's really the story. It was really the feedback that I got. And I was like, okay, I don't fit in the box. And that is okay. Let's own that. And that's how Rebellious was born. And I do have to tell you the international piece came because when I started searching website domains, Rebellious was taken. So I needed something to distinguish that. And I thought, okay, I actually, when I started, did not think that Rebellious would be a global brand. And I think back, like everything happens for a reason because now we're like, let's spread that message globally. So
Yeah.
that's the rebellion story.
Rebellious was not complete yet, the
Yeah.
international.
Yeah.
And you are an international person,
Yes. It makes sense.
with that, right? Absolutely. Yeah. And you mentioned it's a roller coaster ride, this transition from a corporate to an entrepreneur. Is there anything, any lessons that you have learned in your corporate career that you still can use or is influencing you right now? as an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. I think sometimes people who go to such transitions say, wow, why did I have to do this for so many years before I got to, where I am today? And I don't think anything happens by mistake. I think throughout our journey, there are lessons that we learn, there are skills that we learn. And my corporate experience was definitely a phenomenal experience. I actually loved what I did, enjoyed what I did, and grew a lot out of it. And some of the skills that still carry on is the organizational skills, the communication skills, follow-up skills. That is no question a big part of entrepreneurship. I do think some of my skills I used to do kind of like have a niche into finance and what I do. And outside of reporting and corporate finance, I did a lot of systems and process improvements. And that is something that I'll tell you, as I started getting into the online business, I would work with colleagues and they're like, how do you know how to do that? And that goes back to my background and what I used to do. So I'm definitely leveraging some of those skills in a completely different way to build my business. And even from something such as anatomy, I was studying with a mentor and we were talking anatomy and muscles. And I told him, I said, I don't learn this way. I was talking about memorization. I said, I don't learn this way. I need to see it in action, in motion, and I have to think through it. And he said, yes, my dear. He's an older gentleman. He said, yes, my dear, because you're very analytical. And I think that also became a skill that got very highly developed during my corporate career. I used to work with a lot of data. So I think it's phenomenal how you can take two different, very completely different fields and still reap the benefits of the experience that you have built in one. Definitely think there's positives. And also there are things that you do in your corporate, just like everything else. You might have made the transition from entrepreneurship to corporate, right? It doesn't always go one way or the other. Maybe you have found things that don't work and that you don't want to do in entrepreneurship. So for sure, there is growth, there has been growth in both areas.
Yeah. And since you are bringing together all these different worlds, the finance world and the self care and fitness and wellness world, how has your definition of success evolved over time? Because success usually is all about numbers, right? But what is this success for you?
Such a fantastic question. And, that is a question that I frequently ask clients to think about and reflect on because my definition of success prior to this was the very standard, I would say, definition of success: the title, the money, the achievements, the promotions, the house, the car, and all of that. And as I have shifted, now my success is meaning, it's purpose, it's fulfillment, it's happiness, it's energy. And I will tell you, I was having a conversation maybe 2 years ago when I actually had this profound realization. I attended a mindset workshop with somebody and he made the comment, he said, well, you're not successful. And I said, what? And he said, well, you're not $1 million business. And I kind of looked and I said, who said I need to be $1 million business to be successful? And you see, that was his definition of success, right? In his head, in order to be successful, you have to be $1 million business. And I said, let me ask you something. When you get up in the morning and you kind of think about the day that's ahead, are you excited, accelerated about what's coming? He goes, well, not really. And I said, that's my definition of success. I said, do you feel like you have an impact, like a positive impact on people in the world? He goes, not really. And I said, that's part of my success equation. So I definitely think there has been a shift. Now, that's not to say that it doesn't mean you should be poor or broke or anything like that, and you shouldn't have things that you want to do. But it means that you're driven by a different purpose and different underlying calling than, I want to be promoted because it's interesting. Sometimes people, I remember in the very beginning when people said, you will be just a Pilates teacher. And I think about that. And I think about the impact that I have. And I'm like, yep, I'm just a Pilates teacher changing lives. And I'll tell you, when you live with fulfillment, I'm sure you can relate. And purpose, it's a completely different experience than showing up because you have to show up.
I want to ask you now, as a wellness disruptor, mind body coach, what are your most important three pieces of advice you would want to give someone who is looking for success? What are they?
Well, one, prioritize your self care and your time for yourself, whatever that means for you. Because for some people will be meditation, for other people will be journaling, for other people will be breathing, for other people will be being outside. Whatever your self care means to you, whatever makes you feel good, do that. And put that number one on your priority list, not on the bottom of your priority list. I'd say number two, don't be afraid to be who you are. And that means that you might lose people, you might lose approval, you might lose the applause around you because people don't understand. And that's okay. Allow your true self, your true desires, your true passion to shine through. I promise you, the right tribe of like minded people will show up. And then, to what I said earlier, remember it is not a linear progression. There will be downs and there will be ups. And instead of looking at the downs as mistakes, look at them as learning lesson. In everything that doesn't go our way, there is a lesson. There is a learning moment. So when something doesn't go the way that we go to, just pause, take a deep breath, and reflect on it. And I also can I add a fourth one?
Sure, absolutely.
Don't get attached to the result. We are taught to think if I do this is what's going to happen. And sometimes we do this and the outcome is not what we want. And then we're disappointed. Then we are ready to quit because things didn't happen the way we want them to. And I'll tell you, Brigitte, I started my company as a fitness company. And in the 7 years that it has existed, it has grown and expanded to include things such as mindfulness and mindset and energy work that I never anticipated would be part of that. And those things are part of the company now. And the offering is so comprehensive because of things that didn't go the right way.
Yeah.
So long term, they have really served me fantastically. Sure, there was like, oh, why is this happening to me? But the more you grow and the more you see, like sometimes, let's say a client doesn't sign up in the beginning, I used to, freak out. And why is that? Or like a client leaves and you start thinking, what did I do wrong? And now you just embrace all of that with a totally different mindset shift. And realizing that people in your life, friends will leave. In some people, as you grow, divorce happens. With some people, they lose a job, or sometimes they choose to quit a job, right? Maybe you get laid off. Don't look at that as life is happening to me. Look at that as life is happening for me, right? And what is the door that's opening? What's the opportunity there? I frequently tell clients, sometimes opportunity show up disguised as misfortune. So if you embrace that mindset and once again, your energy changes and you have that energy to keep going and to keep growing.
Yeah. Yeah. Those make the breakthroughs.
Yes.
It's when we are down, when we encounter setbacks and challenges. It's just, just embrace them and always think about it's happening for me. It's here for a reason because it's going to help me so much more. And it's not about having an easy peasy life. I was recently talking with someone about being mediocre, having a life, everything is always going fine. And sometimes I would be happy to have a life that is just easy peasy, but it's not the case. And I think it gives you the fuel to become extraordinary when you're going through such hassles and you call it failures, but it's all about learning, right? And you have so much leverage and then use that and this pain that is happening, there is a purpose in it. And that's why make your pain your purpose. Look at it and see what is it that is making you extraordinary going forward, what makes you unique, and what can you help with that experience? How can you help others with that? So I think that's the key, right?
And I think you use the very profound word, and that's mediocre. I think when we pretend that life is perfect, right? Who is that not serving? The number one person who it is not serving is you.
Yeah.
So it's important to acknowledge that we are humans, that not every day is going to go the way that you want it to. But it's also important to seek the little things, the little celebrations and the joy into the little things. I'm very intentional about that. And once again, it goes to mindset shift. If you choose to look at life that way, if you choose to be real and authentic and vulnerable, because that's another piece that people do not realize the power of vulnerability and saying, you know what, I am struggling. And that is why I also speak about my journey, that it didn't just shoot like a rocket star. It kind of started with tanking first before it started going up. So it's important to acknowledge that. And as I talk to a lot of new entrepreneurs when they're down here, and it takes consistency, it takes showing up every day, it does take mindset growth so that you can pull yourself up because that becomes a journey. And it's like this, but the dips still happen.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And yeah, this vulnerability is expressing this authenticity. And that's really how you connect with all the others. It's how you connect with your business partners, with your potential clients, because they see themselves in you. And that's the key. And that's how you very much connect with them and make it special. Not everyone has that blend of experiences and the character threats that you have and that someone else sees in you and sees in them ultimately, right? So yeah, it's connecting people.
And I think that goes also to authentic connections, really connecting with somebody at their real level and who they really are rather than the fake you. And I'm your friend because of your title or what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that takes your relationships to a totally different level. And when I speak with clients, I'm very real when they share a problem. It's not that I don't have problems in my life anymore, right? Or they're not things that I'm working on. We all have them, but it's how you approach them, how you view them.
And
And,
how you do them.
and that is what makes the difference. How is your action different? So being human, being real is how we relate to people as well.
It's also the stories that we tell that are coming from our heart, from our true self. And that's how others learn on the way as well. It's the stories that really count of your life, of your experience that made you who you are
And I
now.
think once people are afraid to share their story because they are worried about being judged, about the feedback that they'll get, about the lack of approval that there will be. And there is so much power in owning your story and owning your journey because that's exactly what you said. That is what other people who are going through the same thing are going to be like, wow, that is me. And by you sharing your story, you empower those other ones to share their stories and claim their.
Exactly. Wonderful. We are at the end of our show, almost. I have a quick word wrap that I would love to play with you. Are you ready to give me short and quick answers to some of the words or terms I'm throwing out?
Let's do
All
it.
right. Okay, the first one is story,
Story, rebellious,
purpose,
meaning,
freedom,
authenticity,
rebellious,
truth,
and last but not least, brands and
power,
brand power.
power.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Maria,
What? Like, it's
for being here with me today. Is there anything special that you're providing at the moment?
I always offer a free consultation. So if that is something that you're interested in, hop on my website, schedule that consult. I am very not pressure. I am there to help you thrive. And if there's anything that can help you, I also love connecting with people. So great connections such as yourself, we met through LinkedIn. I love authentic connections and building up my tribe of like-minded professionals. So do reach out. I would love to hear from you.
Okay, wonderful. Maria, thank you so much for being my guest today and sharing with us, unleashing the rebel within us and going from finance to being a wellness disruptor. Thank you so much for being here on my show today. Thank you.
Get the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. If you like my show, follow BrandsTalk on your preferred app, share it on social media, and if you find a minute or two, leave a quick rating or review. Thank you so much. If you want me to guide you to become a future market leader by transforming your ambitions and passion into an online brand that radiates beauty, brilliance, and authenticity, attracting the clients and recognition you deserve, drop me an email. I'd love to be your guide on your hero journey. Check out my website, bridgetbrands.com. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I hope you will stay tuned in on the next episode when we dive into the world of brands.